الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is our first lesson, beginning with Kitab Al-Buyu', the chapter of sales from Sahih Al-Bukhari. And the explanation is with the Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar. So, inshallah, we are going to read Kitab Al-Buyu' and the following chapters, because Kitab Al-Buyu' is not the only one which deals with the transactions and the sales. After that would come Kitab Al-Salam, Al-Shuf'a, Al-Ijara, Al-Hawalat, Al-Hiwalat, Al-Kafala, Al-Wakala, then Al-Muzara'a, Al-Musaqat, Al-Istiqrar, Al-Sharika, Al-Rahn, Al-Shurut. So altogether there are about 421 ahadith which we have to cover in this term. You can say that is going to last for about 10 months, because we got a weekly lesson. And second thing is, last year we used to do it on a Wednesday, but this year we have started it on Tuesdays. So this is the first lesson, Tuesday, 12th of Rabiul Awwal, 20th of November 2018. In the beginning of Kitab Al-Buyu', Imam Bukhari has mentioned some ayat of Al-Quran, because they deal with the interest, riba. So this is why today's lesson is mainly about more and more explanations on riba, or the interest. Kitab Al-Buyu', Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa qawlillahi ta'ala, wa ahalla Allahu al-bay'a wa harrama al-riba. The saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 275, Allah has made legalized the sales and He prohibited the interest. وَقَوْلِهِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً حَاضِرَةً تُدِيرُونَهَا بَيْنَكُمْ. That is the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah as well, which deals about having witnesses at the time of giving someone loan, and also about the transactions, which says that if it is a transaction on the spot, tijaratan haziratan, then there is no need for witnesses. That was the context of this ayah. And then the first chapter is Babu ma ja'a fi qawlillahi azza wa jal, the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً أَوْ لَهْوًا انفَضُّوا إِلَيْهَا وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا قُلْ مَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ اللَّهْوِ وَمِنَ التِّجَارَةِ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. That ayah of Surah Al-Jumu'ah, that when the prayer is finished, spread in the land, seek the bounties from the bounties of Allah, remember Allah a lot, so that you achieve success. And when they see any sale or anything of vanity, infaddu ilayha, they flock to it, وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا, and they leave you standing alone. Say to them, مَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ اللَّهْوِ وَمِنَ التِّجَارَةِ. What is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is better than vanity and then transactions. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ, and He is the best one to sustain. وَقَوْلِهِ لَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً عَن تَرَاضٍ مِنْكُمْ. And the ayah of Surah An-Nisa 29, don't eat your properties, your monies among you by way of falsehood, except if it is a transactions عن تَرَاضٍ مِنْكُمْ. With taradi means with agreement among you. So after that comes the first hadith, which is 2047 number hadith of Abu Huraira, but that is going to be discussed later. First of all, we have to speak about al-riba. There are two types of interest, riba al-nasi'ah and riba al-fadl. Riba al-nasi'ah, which is mentioned in the Quran. The riba of al-nasi'ah, which means that you give a loan and then you charge interest upon it because it is payable after a time. So this is called riba al-nasi'ah, yani that type of interest which is payable because of the passage of time at a later period. The other riba which is mentioned in hadith, that is called riba al-fadl, which means when you barter one thing with something similar to it but in an excessive quality, then it becomes riba al-fadl. And this is of course mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that in which he said, al-dhahabu bil-dhahabi wal-fiddatu bil-fiddati, gold with gold and silver with gold, with silver with silver, with some four things also, from four edible things which should be in the same, which should be similar when you barter them, and you don't have to take anything in excessiveness. So riba al-nasiya, that is the main riba interest. Riba al-fadl is said that it is because of al-wasila, because it leads to riba al-nasiya. This is why it is prohibited. So there are a difference between al-wasail and al-maqasid. So riba al-fadl is that of al-wasila because it leads to riba al-nasiya. So the main riba, which is most serious one, is riba al-nasiya. Some people, they would say the riba, simple riba is allowed, because in Surah Ali Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu riba ad'afan mudha'afa. O believers, don't eat or don't devour interest which is multiplied, ad'afan mudha'afa, which is multiplied. So it means that if it is multiplied, then it is not allowed. As we know that sometime if you take the opposite meaning of this ayah, which is known in Arabic as mafhum or mafhum mukhalif, which means that if it says that don't eat multiplied riba, which means that you can eat which is not multiplied. So this is what is implicated. So here we can say that this type of conditions, which is known as qaid ittifaqi, and it has come only because of the practice which was known in Jahiliyyah at that time, that people used to have multiple type of riba. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned it. So it does not mean that the simple riba is not haram. So this condition is ittifaqi, not ihtirazi. Ittifaqi, not ihtirazi. Ihtirazi means it does not say that only this type of riba is haram and the simple riba is halal. No. This is just like the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another ayah, لا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا. لا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا. Don't buy or don't sell my ayat at a very little price. At a very little price. So does it mean that you can sell the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at a bigger price? This is the mafhum. So we would say, no, this mafhum is not meant. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say to you, that some people because of a small gain which they are getting, they would discard the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if they have sold these ayat for a little price, little gain, because that was what was found in those days. So it does not mean that if somebody is giving you a bigger price, then you say, all right, I can hide this ayah, I'm not going to act upon it. Why? Because you are getting a big gain. No. So this is again, this is a qaid or condition which is ittifaqi, not ihtirazi. There is another explanation of this ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا الربا أضعافا مضاعفة. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that don't eat multiple interest, the question comes to the mind, so it means which is not multiple is allowed? Because this question has risen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the transaction halal and riba as haram. So simple riba is also haram. So that is the answer for that question which has risen in the ayah of Surah Ali Imran. So this matter is very clear, and we can also say that when the Prophet ﷺ in the farewell Hajj, he announced الربا موضوع كله, all the interest is set aside. وأول ربا أضعه ربا العباس بن عبد المطلب فإنه موضوع كله. And the first riba which I am going to set aside is the riba which was due to Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, because his uncle Abbas ibn Muttalib used to give a loan to the people, so people owe a lot of interest to him. And the Prophet ﷺ, after these ayat were revealed, he said that this is the first riba, and I start with my own family, so it is all set aside. He is not going to take except his own capital amount. Whatever he has given as a loan, he would get it back, not a penny of riba. And that riba of Al-Abbas, they say it was 10,000 mithqal rahab, 10,000 mithqal of gold. That was the riba of Al-Abbas. So it means it was a big amount. And then we also say that as far as riba is concerned, there is no other crime, no other sin on which such an ayah is revealed. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Because if you don't desist doing it, then there is an announcement of war from Allah and His Prophet against you. Is there any other ayah which says something so serious about any other sin, any other crime? No. So it means the matter of riba is very, very serious. Now here, let me mention here, there are a few types of questions which have been raised, or which is being raised from time to time. They say that there is a difference between the interest which is to be charged from a person who wants to use it for himself. This is known as a riba as-sarfi. A riba as-sarfi, he wants to just spend it upon himself. And the other is a riba al-intaji, a riba al-tijari, that riba which is used in the trade. They say there is a difference between two of them. Yes, if you give a loan to a poor person, you give him £1,000 because he wants to fulfill his needs, then of course charging riba on that amount is something injustice, something bad, because this person is just using it for himself. So we can understand that is haram, that should be haram. But what about those people who take loan from the banks? It is normally they take it for their sales, for their trade, big amounts. So bank is not going to suffer because of that. So what is the injustice here? So let them take this amount, give riba, let them prosper, and let them bring more and more money to the market. So this is why they say that there should be a difference between two of them. So we would say that, first of all, when these ayat were revealed during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, was there only a riba as-sarfi, which means you can say the personal type of riba, the personal type of loans, that was which was known in those times, or there was the other type of riba also prevalent. Of course, the riba of tijara, the riba of transaction was known in Jahiliyyah as well. How Abbas could have such a big amount of interest, 10,000 misqal zahab? People are taking it just for their own needs. No, they used to take it for tijara, for trade. And we know that during the time of Jahiliyyah, Abu Sufyan used to have caravan. And he, even at the time, before the time of Badr, we know that he has gone to Syria with a big caravan, with people's money. Every person in Mecca, whatever amount he got, whether big or small, he has given to Abu Sufyan for the trade. So it was, the trade was known, and the loan were taken for trade purposes. So it means that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed these ayat, it has covered both type of riba, whether it was a riba al-salfi, a riba al-intaji. And also the ayah of Layla fi Quraysh, Laylat al-Shita'i was-Sayf. What was these journeys of the summer and the winter? Only for the purpose of trade. And as I said to you that for trade, people used to take loan and give it to the traders who used to travel to Syria, to Yemen. Every person, maybe with 1 dirham, 1 dinar, they used to contribute into it. So that is to be understood very clearly that during the time of Jahiliyyah, this riba of al-intaji or riba of tijara, the trade riba, that was known. I can give you some more example. One example is that of Abbas. The second example is Az-Zubair ibn al-Awwam. As you know, Az-Zubair ibn al-Awwam, the people used to place their monies with him because he was known to be a trustworthy person. And he used to say to them that this is not amana with me, it is not a trust with me, it is a salaf. Let it be la walakin huwa salaf. Treat it as salaf, means as a loan, because there is a difference between the loan and between amana. If you got amana, a trust, you can't use it. It is not allowed for you to use it at all. But if it is qard, if it is a loan, yes, you can use it, and because you have to return that amount later, but you are allowed to use it. When he died, as Zubair ibn Awwam, when he died, his son Abdullah estimated his loan was 2,200,000 dinar. 2,200,000 dinar, such a big amount. So it is only for tijara purposes, not for personal use. In the same way, there is the example of Hind bint Utbah. She used to take loan from Baytul Mal during the time of Sayyidina Umar, and then she did tijara, trade with that money into fi bilad Kalb, in the tribes of Kalb. He used to do this trade. So this is why we can say this type of question which has been raised got no basis at all. Now something which is more important here as well, they take it from this ayah, وَإِن تُبْتُمْ فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. Because if you leave this riba, then فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ, you will get back your capital money. لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. You don't do injustice by taking riba. وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ, and you are not going to be meant for injustice, or no injustice is going to be inflicted upon you. How? That your capital is also confiscated. No, your capital will get back to you. So with this ayah, so many people say when they are asked this question, what is the reason behind the prohibition of a riba? Many people, many ulama, they said the reason is zulm, injustice. Because there is injustice, you give £100 to a poor person, and that person who is just starving, he might not be fulfilling his own needs, and you are getting 5% from him. That is zulm, injustice. So this is why the answer comes from so many people that the main reason for the prohibition of riba is zulm. And this zulm is only found in the first type of riba, which is a riba as-sarfi, which is for a personal use. Not a riba at-tijari, which is the trade usury or trade interest. So in order to answer to this question, or you can say this doubt, these are the doubts which has been raised, we have to say that the ruling, any ruling, something is prohibited, is based upon al-illah, not upon hikmah. Mabniun al-illah lal hikmah. Yani illah is the reason because of which something is prohibited. So illah means that if this illah, if this reason is found, then the ruling would be that it is haram. If this illah is not found, then the ruling is that it is halal. Al-illah is a wujida al-hukm. Al-illah taduru, al-hukmu yaduru ma'al illah. So if this illah is not found, then the ruling will not be found. That is the main thing about illah. But hikmah is something which is called wisdom. So this wisdom is, you have to just think that, yes, again the question will be, what is the wisdom in this thing? What is the wisdom? So you have to find out the wisdom. Sometimes you got a proper wisdom in your mind, sometimes you don't have this wisdom. So you can't attach a ruling with the wisdom. Because when you attach the ruling with the wisdom, the people are saying, the people started saying that in the interest which is related to the trade and commerce, there is no zulm. So it means it should be allowed. But we are saying here, no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say that it is the illah. Illah, either Allah or the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he himself made it clear that this is the illah or that is the reason, then we can accept it. Or you can see that always when this wisdom is found, the ruling is found. And when this wisdom is not found, ruling is not found, you can say, oh, it is just like illah, so you can take it as illah or reason. To make it more clear, let us take this ayah about the prohibition of liquor. إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر ويصدكم عن ذكر الله. Satan wants to create among you the enmity and hatred, أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر ويصدكم عن ذكر الله وعن إقام الصلاة. يصدكم عن ذكر الله, and to stop you from the remembrance of Allah and establishing the prayer. Now some person, if he comes, some people if they come and they say, we drink liquor, but we don't deviate from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't leave our prayer. So does it mean because they still pray and they still remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then drinking liquor will be allowed for them? No. Because this is the wisdom only behind the prohibition of the liquor and the prohibition of al-maisir, the gambling. It is not the illah. So we have to differentiate between the two things. What we are saying that this zulm, la tazlimuna wa la tuzlamun, even if you think more about it, you will find that it is also there in the trade interest. How in the trade interest? Alright, someone takes a big loan from a bank on an interest amount is 15%. He has to pay 15% interest upon it. Now this person will pay back to the bank 15% as a riba. The bank itself will pay to all the depositors whose money was kept there in the bank and which has been loaned to this person. The bank will give them about 7%, and it will keep 7% with him, with the bank itself. So the creditors, the person who has taken the loan, he has benefited from this amount. The bank has benefited from this amount, and the depositors whose deposits were in the bank, they also got some benefit, around 7% from them. So someone can claim that everybody is benefiting from it. So why are you going to prohibit it? There should no prohibition for the interest here. The answer is, for example, I got £1,000. Somebody has taken it as a loan and he has made a lot of money out of it. And he has given me 7%. Now this was my money which he utilized, and he got a lot of money because of my own money, and he is giving me a very little amount of money. Is it not injustice? The person has exploited my money, and he is getting a good amount of it, good benefit out of it. But I myself, I am not getting that benefit. So it is injustice. Alright, take another step. If that trader who has taken this loan from the bank, instead of getting some profit, he got loss. So if he got loss, what he is going to do? He will come to the bank and he will take more loans, so he would be able to make another trade and return back the amount which is due to him to give back to the bank. If this thing happens again and again, that bank is going to be declared bankrupt. If people are getting loss and they are not returning the money to the bank will be bankrupt. And then who is going to suffer? All the depositors. So it means the real zulm has happened to the depositors. So this is why we say that you're saying that there is no zulm in the trade loans. That is wrong. There is zulm, there is injustice, and we have given this example of that. Another thing which we can say about the riba, it is so horrible that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna riba bid'un wa sab'una shu'batan." Riba is around 70 or more branches. Adnaha kallabi yaqaw ala ummihi. The lowest one is the one just like a person who is doing fornication with his own mother. So this horrible example shows that the matter of riba is not a simple matter. Now there are a few more things which we can say here about riba. The person who takes the loan, the person who gives the loan, and the person who has taken that loan, he has to face a risk. So there is this is the element of the risk. The person who is going to do the trade with the loan, he got a risk in his trade. Sometimes he gets some profit, sometimes he gets some loss. On the other hand, the lender got no risk at all. That is another reason why riba is prohibited. And this is why the best way, if you want your money to get some profit out of it, you can go through those types of transactions which are allowed in Islam, like muzaraba, like musharaka. Muzaraba means that I give my I give money to you. Money is mine, capital is mine, and you got the labor upon it. So with your labor, you do your business, and if you got any profit, then we both share that profit. And if we got any loss, we both share that loss. So if that risk is found in both parties, then it becomes jaiz, it becomes allowed. But in a simple riba transactions, there is no risk. There is no risk associated to the lender, to the bank. All the risk goes to the person who takes that loan. And once again, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has compared al-bay' with al-riba, أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the sale allowed and the interest prohibited, حَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, because when you sell something, you get your profit and that is over. The matter is finished. But when you give a loan and the other person has to pay you interest all the time, because in multiple type of riba, he has to keep on paying the loan. It is not like al-bay' that once the transaction is over, everything is over. No. Here, the person who has taken loan from you, he is always there to pay it back on a yearly basis. Some people, they said, all right, what about the rent which you take on your house when you rent your house to someone, or your land to cultivate and someone is working upon that land? Your car, for example, you rent it and then you get your money. Is it not like getting interest upon your own money? Here there is a difference. As far as the land or the house or any other object is concerned, these objects, when you give them, they are subject to they are subject to loss as well. The house, the person who is living in that house, as they say, there is the subject of tear and wear. Tear and wear, that is, the house is subjected to that, the land is subjected to that. But as far as the money is concerned, when you give the money to someone, in lending the land or in renting the place, you will get the very same place back to you, the very same house back to you. But when you lend some money, that money is spent. The person has to create this money once again in order to give it back to you. And then he has to pay something more with the capital amount. So these are the things which are involved in interest, and that is why it has been prohibited. And we have also seen, according to the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala crushes completely the interest, وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ, but He makes a sadaqah nourish and flourish. We see that the person who gives the money on interest, that person develops the character of a person who is a miser, who is selfish, who got a very narrow heart, but a very hard type of heart, because he sees the people suffering. They have to meet their needs, but still he is charging them interest. And as far as sadaqah is concerned, when you give sadaqah to someone, you got the opposite qualities, like generosity, like kindness, sweetheart, and with a stronger character. That is on the personal level. On the level of the society itself, the first type of society where riba is prevalent, in that society you will find discord, and hatred, and also struggling with each other, clashes with each other. On the other hand, the society which is based upon sadaqah, they got these type of characters which are love, which is kindness, which is cooperation with each other. So these are the few things which could be noticed very clearly in both type of societies. Another thing which is very interesting also, those people, they say that we take interest from the bank for our trade. But you have to notice one thing, the banks are not going to give you loans only for such type of trades which can bring more money. There are many, for example, many beneficial type of works for which you can't get money. For example, if you want to print big quantities of Quran, for example, you might not get loan because they say, oh, you will not get proper profit from the sale of these books. In the same way, if in a country they want to dig the canals, make canals of water for irrigation purposes, for cultivation, they will say, oh, it is not going to get a big profit out of it. So you will not get loan for many productive types of work because the interest rate or the profit from them is very, very low. On the other hand, we will see that how all those type of activities which are related to obscenity, which are related to cinema, films, they will get loan very easily. Why? Because the bankers think that from there they can get their profit very easily. So the whole idea of interest that is based upon, you can say, selfishness and so many other evils which we have mentioned. In the Islamic society, or the society which is based on sadaqat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from the people to become generous. Whatever extra amount they got, they should try to give it as sadaqah to the people. يَسَأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. They ask you what they should spend. قُلِ الْعَفْوَ. Say to them whatever is something extra with you. So it means that extra amount of money could be given as a loan, and the people could use that money, and this is how more cooperation and love could be created in the society itself. It is also reported that when the agreement was made during the time of the Prophet ﷺ with the Christians of Najran, there was one condition which has been laid down, that if they deal in riba, in interest, the treaty which is made with them would be no more valid. Even there is this opinion by Ibn Abbas, also Hasan al-Basri, Ibn Sirin, Rabi ibn Anas. Any person who deals in riba in Darul Islam, means in a Muslim country, he is going to be asked for tawbah. And if he does not do tawbah, then he should face a capital punishment, or at least he should be imprisoned. As far as Islamic teachings are concerned, that if you give a loan to someone and he is not able to pay it back in time, وَإِنْ كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ فَنَظِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ, then the rule is give him time, give him respite. It does not say that then charge him some more interest. So it is very clear that the Islamic society is based upon forgiving the people and taking care of all their needs. We should also understand that gold and silver, they are not commodities. They are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a way that they become a source or a means of a tool for buying and selling. And this is why, because this is a tool for buying and selling, which is known as naqd. That is a naqd. This is why it is not recommended in Islam to use gold and silver for decorations, for decorating yourself, for even the utensils of gold and silver are not allowed for that reason. Now, as far as the gold and silver is concerned, nowadays, even during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were known to be the tools of the sale. They are used to make dinar and dirham, and they were known to be naqd or nuqud. In the history itself, many other things have been used as naqd. For example, sometime in some places, even the leather of made of camel skin, sometime it was used as naqd, to buy and sell other things. Salt is also used. Salt is also used for that purpose. So it depends upon the people what things is most suitable to be a tool of buying and selling. All right. If the camel skin was used for that, it led to the extinction of the camels, because people used to slaughter the camel for that reason. So they stopped doing it. Gold and silver was the only two objects which remained throughout the ages as nuqud. That has been proved. Because they got some existence, physical existence. Anything which got a physical existence, if it takes the shape of nuqud, then people could think about it. Nowadays you got bitcoins, one coin. The question comes here. It got any physical existence? That would be the first question. What about the banknotes? Or you can say the paper currency. Now the paper currency itself is only valid because there is an authority behind it. That paper currency which is here like pounds, in America as dollars, that paper currency, if there is no authority from the state, then it is just paper. It got no value at all. There was a time when there was only golden dinar and silver dirham which was used for transactions for sales. So this is why it was quite clear to say that al-dhahabu bil-dhahabi wal-fiddatu bil-fidda, that if you have to change 1 gram of gold, you can only change it with 1 gram of gold. 1 gram of silver with 1 gram of silver. Not more than that. Because you got it with you, but as far as the currency is concerned, if the currency differs from, of course the currency differs from one country to another country. 1 riyal of Saudi Arabia is not equal to 1 riyal of Emirate. So here there might be some difference of the paper money. You can say that, because if you want to change pounds into riyal, so we have to see the market that 1 pound is equivalent to around 6 riyal. Of course, there is a difference of number here, but still it is allowed. Why? Because there are two different currencies. But if the currency is the same, then this currency now, with the consensus of all the ulama, this currency stands as gold and silver. For example, if you got bank notes of 1,000 pounds, and if you want to change it, you go to the bank, you got some old paper currency, and you want to exchange it with the new one, but you will get the same amount, 1,000 with 1,000. Here comes a very delicate question. What about if the payment is done in future? Which means that if I have given you a 1,000 pound loan to be payable after 1 year time, and you are going to pay me the same 1,000 pounds, it is not like the gold or silver. If it was gold, then you are receiving the same amount of gold. But if it is the paper currency, after 1 year, because of inflation, the paper money is devalued at that time. So, after 1 year, when you are going to receive 1,000 pound, it is not the same which you have given to the person 1 year ago. This is such a big problem which is now confronting all those people who he wants to find out a solution for it. Because this type of devaluation of money was not found on a very, you can say, small mode during the past, because the gold and silver, they were prevalent at that time. But since the paper money has started, and then interest was involved, we got this problem of inflation, and because of inflations, we got the problem of devaluation of the money, and then we got this problem only not on those monies which are exchanged on spot. There is nothing wrong with that. There should be equal amount. But what about, as I said, for the payments which are going to be paid in future? That is the main thing. And there is another reason for this devaluation of money. What is that reason? The fake money which is prevalent in the society. The fake money or the artificial money. What is that artificial money? Do you think that only the bank of the state bank here in this country, like Bank of England, they are the only one who are authorized to make money? Yes, as far as printing the money is concerned, they are authorized. They are the one who print all these currency papers. But the banks themselves, they are creating a fake money, a lot. How? Let us take this example. The bank is going to receive big amounts from the depositors. So this amount, suppose it is, and just to make the matter very simple, the deposit in the bank is 100 pounds. By experience, they know that only 20% comes back to ask for their money. So if there is a demand for 20% money, they will set aside 20% for all those people who wants it back. The other 80% is going to lie with them for years and years. They say, why not we utilize it as well? Why not we lend it to creditors, those who are asking for it? All right, if the remaining money, which is 80 pound, if they give it to one person, they might get only some interest, 5% interest from one person. No. Because they know that they have not to pay it in real currency. They can just give it in checks. They have just to write a check and give it to the creditors. So this is how they are going to use this 80%, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, maybe 10 times. So this 80% they will give it to 10 persons. So from 80 they will make 800. Why? Because it is just a check which is written. On that 800 they are getting interest as well. So when they have given this type of money to the people, it means with the increase of the money in the market, more money is coming, inflation would arise. And inflation means devaluation of the money. Even that money which you keep at home, you did not keep it in the bank. You got it in your home, for example, you got £10,000. After 10 years, you want to use it for some of your personal uses. You will find that this £10,000 is no more £10,000. It has been devalued. The value is no more there. So the whole society is suffering because of that fake money, because of that artificial money. So the question comes, I am not going to offer any solution for that problem. This is for the economist to bring out a solution, that if I have given £1,000 loan to someone and he is going to return that money to me after 1 year, 1,000, it is no more with the same value of 1,000, it is of the value of £900. So who is at a loss here? The person who has given that loan, he is at a loss. The person who has taken the money, he used it, he got a benefit out of it. For example, a person wanted a bicycle. He took from you £1,000 and then he bought a bicycle at that time. After 1 year he has paid you back £1,000. You also want to buy a bicycle. Now you went to the market, there is no bicycle for that price. The price has gone up. So who is going to suffer? You are going to suffer. To find out a solution for this problem, some people they have said that attach these loans are the deferred payments of any object to the gold and silver. That is one solution which is advanced. And the other solution is, which is known as indexation. Indexation, which means that now when you are giving this loan, £1,000 to someone, you must have a basket, for example, a basket in which you got things which are priced at £100. You may have few things. All together, there is sugar, there is some other edibles, there are some other things. All this basket, nowadays, it costs you £100. Next year, you will see the same basket, how much it has been increased in price. It might have increased 1%, it might have been 2%. In 2 years, 3 years time, you can see that it has increased by 5%, by 6%. So this is called indexation. That is another solution which is now advanced by some economists, that attach it to the indexations, and by this, whenever the deferred payments are made, you can find out what is the real value of that money. You do the same thing with the amount of dower amount. Because dower amount normally is not given at spot in many families. They say that the dower amount is deferred. If half is given, half is deferred. Suppose that it says that £1,000, half is deferred, and £500 is deferred. After 10 years time, 15 years time, At the time of divorce, the woman is asking for that amount. Now this 500 pound is not the very same 500 pound at all. Why should she suffer? You must try to find out what is the real value. If it was gold and written very clearly, half a kilo gold, then there was no problem. You have to pay half a kilo gold. But as far as the paper money is concerned, there is a problem. So this is why now this question is subjected to or is thrown for discussion in all the Islamic circles, that what should we do for to find out a solution for this problem of devaluation of the money. There are still people who would say, no, it is riba. So if you give back more than 1,000 pounds, then it is of course riba. But what we are saying, that is it the same gold or the same silver which was mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ in his hadith of ذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة, gold by gold, silver by silver. This paper money is the same thing? No, it is not the same thing. Anyhow, because this is a very delicate point, we have to deal with it in our later discussions. For our today's lesson, we have mentioned much about this interest, and we say that even according to the Christian teaching, riba was not allowed at all. Only Christianity has made allowance for it. And they say that in 1545, in the time of Henry VIII, the prohibition or the restriction which was made upon riba or interest was removed, because of course there was a discussions about so many economists in this country that why riba should be allowed. Those people who said that riba or interest should be allowed, the main argument was that people can't get loans easily. Rich people are not giving their money to the poor people. So there should be a way out, and that way out is, all right, get it on 2%, 3% interest rate, and you will get your money. So this is how it has been legalized everywhere throughout the world. But all the evils which are associated with riba is now being seen, being witnessed, being observed by the people. We have seen how the banks, they go bankrupt, how big businesses they come to shatter completely, and so many countries which they have taken big loans from IMF and other monetary systems, they also became totally at loss because of this bank interest. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He prohibited it, it means that this prohibition is forever. It is not something which was temporary. No, it is for all the times, for all the places. The only thing is the new issues which have arisen, like the paper money, like inflation, like devaluation, that should have a solution which we try to find out. Inshallah, in our next lesson, we will start with this hadith 2047 of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and then we will carry on explaining these ahadith and also all the matters which are related to al-buyu, the sales and the transactions. And with this we come to the end of our first lesson. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.